Ngiyakhona, the podcast inspiring entrepreneurials in South Africa. Because if it's going to be, it's up to me.
You gradually realize that everything lies in you, in terms of spotting the opportunities. I mean, when I sit back and reflect, how does it make me feel when I'm sitting around the table with industry decision makers? Once you get to a point where you are comfortable with that, and then what? You are then able to narrow the opportunity, and from that opportunity, you're then able to move to the next thing.
Welcome, Bangani, ladies and gents, to Ngiyakhona, because if it is going to be, it's up to me. The podcast that is here to drive entrepreneurial mindset and thinking in young people. Today, it's an honor to have the guest that we do to share with you their journey. I am Buntu Majaja, your host, and we will be talking to our guest, Mr. Katlego Letsoalo. So welcome so much. Thank you so much for joining us. I know it's fantastic following the work that you've been doing, and I think as a young person, being innovative and creative and driving change in your industry, it's great to hear your thoughts and perspectives today.
Thanks a lot for having me, Buntu.
So firstly, I want to get an understanding of, you are, as a monitoring and evaluation specialist at the Minerals Council of South Africa, and also the youngest ever council member on the South African, industry, minerals and metallurgy board or council board. In its history, you've got a wide perspective on what's happening there, and you didn't get there, just say by being an engineer, but you've taken some certain steps, and you found yourself in this space, and we were chatting a little bit earlier that one of the things you said is about then now what? Then what happens? For you, where did that come from for you? What is then what?
I think Buntu, the question of then what or so what, I think has driven me quite a lot in terms of obviously my career, and it's just generally where I am now. And I think where it stems from is mainly from my journey. I mean, I had, fortunate enough, I was raised between Pretoria and Limpopo, and you can tell the total difference between the two areas. So you've got the hustle and bustle, and you've got the cows on the other side of the world. And having been raised there, I then quickly realized in terms of career choices, I initially wanted to be an accountant, and then the second plan, how you always fill out the varsity forms and you always have to have these three choices. And the second option I had was an engineer, because somehow I just wanted to be an engineer. And at that point in time, mining was growing significantly in Africa. And then I quickly realized, hang on, the industry is growing in Africa. So if I'm going to look at a long-term perspective, then probably engineering would be a better space. And also looking at the opportunities that were there then. Most of the, firms were sponsoring more female candidates in terms of the accounting space, and I managed to then get a bursary in the mining space. Went to school, studied, got a job, but sadly then I got retrenched, and there I was. I was planning a beautiful getaway to celebrate the milestone, and then you get this lovely letter that says, unfortunately, forget your plans. And then the question started to say, but hang on, here I am, I got the qualification, I'm out of a job, then what? Then what do I start doing? And I think at that point in time, I then started drilling that thing into my mind to say, there's two options, right? You either look at the negative or you look at the positive. And it starts there to say, I'm in the situation, then what? And like everyone else, went into the market, and another opportunity came about. Obviously it's not what I was expecting, but I took the opportunity. And when I was in that environment, I said, look, here I am, and then what? Here I am, I'm in this organization, and then what? And I mean, in deciding and then what, it's also choices and decisions at that point in time, because do I stay in a contract position, or do I go look for a permanent position? But it's the then what. You find a permanent position, and then what? You take the contract, hold on to the contract position, and then what? And I think those decisions helped me, like you said, to get to where I am now.
But then what? I think that was a powerful change, right? In the way you're thinking, because I know many people, I myself, included, wouldn't have been able to go to university if I didn't get a bursary. And the idea was, this is great, because not only can I now go to university, but afterwards I may get a job. But that was almost like the dream. That was the dream. If you happened, your family, everyone is happy. But for you, that something changed. So you were there, and then this question of then what happened, which actually pushed you further than what some people say. I just need to get a job, and it's great to have work today. However, that's not going to be what helps other people get work, right? So for you, what is your then what when that happened, and when that mindset changed?
I think for me, at that point in time, I mean, obviously quickly you start looking around, but once you start getting the permanent job, and you then sit there and say, here I am, I work for a wonderful organization. I then came across sort of the Institute of Mining and Metallurgy, and I mean, I managed to contribute there as well. And then I sat back and I said, I mean, I'd look at my mailbox, get flooded with emails, people asking for training opportunities, and I then started saying, honestly speaking, how am I helping in any conversation that I'm having? How am I helping the next person who doesn't have a job, who doesn't have a bursary, who's from Limpopo? Because the sad reality of life is that we won't all get the opportunities, right? And it's about saying, with the opportunity that you get, how do you help the next person? And I mean, it's similar to the conversation we talk about entrepreneurship. I think to some degree and extent, the then what principle applies there, to say, how do you spot the opportunity? Once you get to a point where you are comfortable with that, and then what? You are then able to narrow the opportunity, and from that opportunity, you're then able to move to the next stage. And I think for me, whether it be selling a product, whether it be selling a solution, whether it be
working in research, in university,
it's
in corporate space, or building your own business.
So it's around saying, and then what? And at that point, if it's clear in your mind, then you'll be able to sort of soldier on.
To me, and tell me if I'm wrong, and tell us if this would be wrong, but to say, when you asked then what, you actually wanted to serve others. You saw that the then what for you was to serve your community, and to make an impact. Why is that important for you? Like, I mean, it's many people, for example, say as an entrepreneur, it's easy to make that connection to your clients. But when you're in the corporate space, or when you're working in government, quasi-government, and institutions, some might say, that's comfortable, and some entrepreneurs say it was too comfortable for them. But it's not too comfortable for you. You're actually making a change in that industry, in that space. Why is that mindset shift important for anyone, anywhere, in your view?
I think for me, it's quite important, because it needs to be something you love. It needs to be something. I always say, does it make you sleep well at night? How does it make me feel when I'm sitting around the table with industry decision makers, right? And I know very well that my peers, or people in my community, have significant challenges, and I'm not using that opportunity and that platform at that moment to say, guys, these are the challenges. We might not have the solutions now, but let's start the conversation. And I think for me, that is what keeps me driving and keeps me going, because I mean it's always tough. I mean, be it in the entrepreneurial world, be it in the corporate world, life is always tough, but unless you understand, then what? Unless you understand, but hang on, take a step back, why am I where I am? At that point in time it might not make sense, but you then need to go back to say, but hang on, why am I where I am, and
Sure.
is where I am serving my long-term future? And I mean, some of these principles probably also apply in the business world. It's around saying, I remember we once organized, we started a concept and we started conversations around having a conference around entrepreneurship in mining, right? And the reason we started it was because, there's all this information, but the problem is the guy who needs it the most does not know about it. Sometimes all you need, Buntu, is that 2 minutes. And if I can give you that 2 minutes, then I'll sleep well at night.
And for you, that is also connected in a way to, you talked about this long-term vision. Can I say it's almost like you and passion as well? Can I say that is almost like your purpose? You feel your work is connected. Actually, you made your work connected to your purpose, and through that, it drives you through even the hard times, which will be there. And what are some of those views or experiences? Or what happened, and how do you get over hard times when they happen?
Some of the hard times for me is around the amount of graduates who are looking for employment. And I said, look, I might not guarantee them employment, right? But one of the things I got right in my mind, and I started championing, was to say, firstly, let me get a list. For example, within the SAIMM, let me understand how many people are there who need opportunities. And it was quite challenging for me to say, every time when I go to bed, you read the emails and you read sort of, I don't want to say desperation, but you read the challenge in the email and the talk. And the sad reality is you can only help so many people. And I think at one point, I remember I was sitting with the former vice president of what was then known as Joy Global.
Okay.
And we had a meeting, formal work meeting, and we walked out for a cup of coffee. I think we had like a brief break. And in the coffee, we're just having a random chat. And obviously I think at that point I was still overwhelmed to say, hang on, I'm sitting with the African president for Joy Global. Because there was that point in my career. I would walk
Joy
out.
Global is
So now it's now Komatsu. So they used to be the underground. Yeah, they used to be the underground.
Huge global mining company.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like, this guy's the African president. And obviously I quickly had to snap out of that to say, but hang on, here's the African president of one of the biggest underground coal making equipment OEM. Then I said to him, but hang on, can I not at least allow you to host at least 15 people at your plant? Get them exposed to the plant, get them to understand what the vision of the company is and the strategy of the company is. And in the back of my mind, I was saying, sometimes people just need, when you're in the desert,
just open the door. Let me put my foot.
And for me, it was exactly that. I said, guys, here's an opportunity. I might not guarantee these people jobs, but here's an opportunity for them to come and sell themselves. I don't sort of know what happened, but here's an opportunity for them to say, here I am, and here's a different world.
You spoke about things that you're good at. Some people don't think that they're good at anything. It's difficult to know what am I good at, let alone being able to identify what other people are good at. But for you, you're comfortable with that. Have you always known what you're good at? How did you come to realize some of these things? Is there is the things that you do, or is the people that have supported you in identifying these and building them in you?
I think from an early period in my life, I was told that it's not a crime to be different, right? And where that comes from is to say, there's always that challenge that, yeah, but what is Buntu going to say? What is and I think that's sort of part of the journey of realizing who you are. At a young age, I was always told it's not a crime. It's not a crime to be different. And that then said to me, hang on, it presents an opportunity for me to always be the first person to raise my hand. Even if they say, okay, guys, let's go swim. So I'm not going to ask how deep the water is. I'm going to say, okay, what do I need to bring? I'll get into the pool. And I swim. And I think that has been one of the key drivers to say, I'll take everything on. The worst thing that could happen is to say, I tried and failed, rather than saying, I didn't even get to it. So I think that is what has helped me sort of understand what I'm good at, what I'm not good at, and it sort of also helps me build a mental picture to say, who do I need around me to make the puzzle work? Because you always need to have the right people around you to make the puzzle work.
Yeah, that's powerful, because the fear of failure is the thing that not only stops some people from doing something that they want to do, but you saying it even stops you from learning about yourself. And even if you do fail, you grow and you get to figure out who you are and what kind of team and what kind of and where your weaknesses are and what you need to work on.
Yeah.
Powerful.
And I mean, those principles, I always say they apply everywhere. Whether you talk about, in an entrepreneurial environment, whether you talk about, corporate environment, whether you talk about the schooling environment, it applies everywhere, because it's tough everywhere. The challenges might be different, but it's tough everywhere, and it's around understanding and then what, and also understanding while answering the and then what, who else do you need to solve the puzzle?
Nazo Bafetu, you heard it here first on the E-Cubed program podcast. Sir, thank you so much for your thoughts. I think a lot to take away from that, and we want to wish you the best going forward. Please stay tuned. We'll be bringing more inspiration to you, more reflections of the entrepreneurial mindset. Hit the like button, follow us if you haven't. From me, your host, Buntu Majaja. Thank you. See you again next time.
Stay inspired and be entrepreneurial. Follow us on social media and find us on WhatsApp. Nam ngiyakhona.